How big can it get, and what's next on YouTube?
Well, I think there's just, in terms of the future of YouTube, I just think that there's obviously things in terms of just other places that you can access this content. One personal thing of always is just working with being able to watch YouTube content on mobile devices. I just think that the type of content, the 30 seconds, the 3 minutes in length content is ideal for wherever it is. At the bus stop, if you're in a taxi, just be able to pick up the phone and being able to watch 2 minutes of content.
Could I just ask an old fogey question here? Why do you have to watch a video while you're waiting for a bus? Why can't you enjoy the scenery? Why can't you talk to someone?
Well, you can enjoy the sun from Hawaii instead of enjoying the sun from New York if you have access to it.
Good answer. And I must ask, why don't we get your questions? I think there are cards on the tables, and you'll be bringing them around. I must ask a question about you. What about that college degree?
I've been trying to just get them to give me one. But I don't think it's the same.
Not going to happen. So what? Do you have a favorite, all-time favorite YouTube clip?
This is a little embarrassing to admit, but I haven't been on YouTube about 3 months. I mean, other than testing it, I just haven't had the time, because every time I used to be the one that featured the videos on the front page, and I remember all I needed to do was pick 10 videos, and I would spend hours and hours just going through, clicking through stuff. Even after I found the 10 videos, I just keep watching more and more videos, and it ends up being pretty unproductive to just keep watching YouTube. And so, I mean, while I'm doing certain bugs and certain tests and stuff on the site, I just end up spending definitely much longer than I need to on the site. So I just haven't had the time to go back.
You'll get back to me on that one in any event. Okay, here's some of your questions. In listening to NPR recently, they predict that YouTube will play a major role in this presidential election cycle by the candidates. What's your thought on this? And there's already, as I pointed out, there are a couple of hits on the candidates there. There are also straight pieces on the candidates there. There's a lot of politics on the site. Do you think you're going to be a player?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, so one thing is that I want to completely sort of keep YouTube as sort of neutral of a platform as possible. So because it is such a sort of an international, it has such a large international presence, I want to make sure that the U.S. elections aren't dominating over, say, the French elections just took place. So trying to keep that focus, but at the same time, we noticed early on with the mid-cycle elections from last year that there were a lot of politicians using YouTube already to get their message out. And I think that the appeal of YouTube is that you can get your message out in a way that's that feels a little bit more unfiltered, that it's unedited, and you can sort of get to know the candidates on a personal level. And so I think a lot of the candidates from both parties are trying to use YouTube in that way. And after recognizing that, we did create this this whole program, this You Choose 2008, which basically has one of the folks that's working on the YouTube side sitting in with, they can basically submit questions for a candidate on a weekly basis, and then the candidates will answer back in I think in videos about just all the different questions that are coming up from the community.
So the answer is a reasonable size role that you will be playing. And given that a few of the candidates announced online, I mean, this is a major change anyway.
But then you also get to see a lot of the other videos that I think the candidates didn't want to be shown.
Yes, there is that too. Yeah. Okay, here, this is under the headline of advice. Do you know the founder of Facebook.com, and how would you advise him to react to the $1 billion bid from Yahoo? Which they've so far turned down, right?
Yeah, it's what Mark Zuckerberg. I think I'm not sure what happened. I mean, there was a lot of sort of gossip around the Bay Area about the possible acquisition from Yahoo, but I think that's tapered off a little bit. I mean, I ran into him recently it's just, again, on University Avenue in Palo Alto, and we talked a little bit about it, but I think the Facebook's intent is really just to continue to build out that business.
You wouldn't say to them, grab the money and run at this point?
Well, I think he's pretty proud that there's still the one company out there that hasn't been snatched up, and I think they're trying to do things on their own, and I think they have a pretty good team, so we'll see what happens.
With new forms of media and communication springing up like YouTube, are there new forms of etiquette? Are there new rules that are being developed, or is this just going to be a free-for-all, and which should it be?
That's probably one of the most sort of controversial or debated internal questions about policy on videos, because all of a sudden, with the advent of YouTube, it really breaks down the sort of country borders and boundaries, yet there's a lot of laws about what's appropriate content governing within those walls. And so once you remove those walls, how do you determine? I mean, I think with YouTube, with certain videos in Thailand and Turkey, for example, that we don't find offensive is very offensive to either the Thai royalty or the Thai population. And it's really trying to figure out, okay, so is it censorship when you start taking down these videos within Thailand, or do you take it down across the world, or do you keep it up because you're trying to promote freedom of speech, or is freedom of speech something that's more of a U.S. definition of freedom of speech? And I mean, I think that this is the big question that we keep asking, especially as we start moving forward with our international efforts to figure out what's acceptable, that's respectable for the sort of local regions and local customs.
So what's the answer? Are you sort of making up the rules as you go along, or should there be some body a body of people, that is to say, who make up new rules for all of these new ventures? What do you think?
No, I mean, I think there's just a lot of different philosophies of thought about it, and I mean, unfortunately, I think YouTube is the one real case sample in which, the sort of one battleground in which these issues have to be fought out. And I mean, I think it's still being discussed. I think there are merits on both sides of what to do with that.
So to be determined is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Not known yet. One of the things we agreed is that we can't talk about the Viacom suit because it's ongoing at this point, but this is a question. What is the proper role of intellectual property in the developed world versus developing countries, given your experience? Do you think there should be legislation? Do you think there should be rules, or what?
I mean, I think, again, it's speaking internationally, it's difficult. I mean, I hate to sort of impose the U.S. definitions of intellectual property or copyright law onto other countries. I think it's a little bit arrogant for us to do, but at the same time, we have a lot of difficulty in reaching certain areas because we don't have the same sort of protection that we do in the U.S. I think it's, again, sort of a seesaw battle back and forth about how does YouTube compete in this international space when different countries have different definitions of what intellectual property is and the protection for that intellectual property is. But
you're running into some of that yourself, right? In terms of you're getting your model being ripped off in certain places.
Yeah, and so it's really, I mean, it's almost on a country-by-country basis we have to determine what the strategy is to be able to deploy in those countries. I mean, there's both different versions or different definitions of what proper content is, as well as the protection of something like YouTube, what YouTube is.
These are two questions on the same, this is about pre and post buyout questions. What is the difference in your lifestyle before and after your success, and what's your advice to the youth today?
There hasn't been much change. I mean, other than I did buy a car, but
what kind of car, Steve?
It's a gray car.
And because you live in California, of course, it would not be a Hummer, right?
No, it's very energy efficient.
This is good. Will we see it on YouTube? Good question, Lulu.
Actually, I ran into a car on the street. Every time I post a video, I get a lot of interesting commentary. And I did post a video of a car that I thought was pretty nice. This was before the acquisition, but no comments were made really before the acquisition. But after the acquisition, people were laughing at me about, you should be buying a much nicer car than this. And I was getting ridiculed on the site. But
so you have a nice new car, is that what you're trying to say?
It's a drivable new car, yeah.